Howdy, mates. Good afternoon. How are we? Are we keeping our sanity during these times? I hope so. I'm happy Monday, by the way. I'm over at a Cedar County park situated in Iowa. This is sort of a spot that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's very quiet over here. And noticeably, as I was walking through, we have a little river valley. This is more of a tributary more than anything. For those of you not familiar with a tributary, it just refers to a smaller stream that feeds into a main river. In this case, not too far from us. As a matter of fact, we have the Cedar River nearby. It's sort of past the tree line there. But I wanted to point out some terminology. So what you're looking at is what is known as a meandering stream. Essentially, the water looked for a path of least resistance, and so it chose this route as a result. We have a little bit of a horseshoe. Now, the side that I'm standing on, this is what is known as a cut bank. So that means in a cut bank, the water that is closest to me, that is typically where most of the erosion is happening. So water tends to follow a higher discharge towards the edge to near where I'm at. Whereas the closer you get to the other side, the water is a little slower. And basically the other side of me is what is known as a point bar. That is where sediment will typically accumulate. So that is what sort of results in a little bit of that horseshoe shape that you're seeing. And this is just on a small scale. This can happen with much larger rivers, such as that of the Amazon, for instance, or even the Mississippi River. Now, something worth noting, every now and then, what can happen is, let's say there's a stream past this patch of land here, and the stream follows a different path. But you'd still have this horseshoe here filled with water. But the water that remains in here remains, I just repeated myself, it stays a bit more stagnant. And that is what is known as an oxbow lake. And it can happen. It may even happen at the very spot that I was just pointing out. But this is the first snowmelt that we have had in a while. So you can tell all the reed grass that is over here, it's all compacted. Give me just a second, you guys. All right, here we go. I knew there was a point where it meets with the Cedar River, so I finally found it. I have to be careful here, just because from where I'm standing, I'm literally right on the edge. No pun intended. This is, yeah, we're at the bluffs right now. At least a mini version of the bluffs. And there you go. It gives you some of a close look at Iowa's soil strata. Or I should say, yeah, soil layers. Soil horizons. There we go. that's the proper term. And each soil horizon has a different designated letter. Typically towards the top, you have the letter O, and that typically represents topsoil. And as I've mentioned in a couple of different past videos, topsoil is a very thin layer. I mean, it may only be about that much, so maybe 6 or so inches, but yet the topsoil is one of the most important layers, because without topsoil, agriculture would not be possible. Topsoil, essentially, I mean, here's something to put into perspective. You figure this planet is nearly reaching about 8 billion people, right? If you were just to hold a handful of soil in your hand that comes from the topsoil layer, you'd have more than 8 billion microbes that are in your soil, or microorganisms. It's a combination of different species. And that's just in your hand. Never mind the entire landscape. I'm going to split this into a second video.